All right, we are about to make some chicken noodle soup, homemade style. So we're gonna start off with some egg noodles or noodles of your choice. I choose to use these. Some chicken breast or meat of your choice. So you can use chicken breast, you can use chicken thighs, you can use a whole rotisserie chicken. It's up to you. It's easier for me to use chicken breast. Plus, that's my favorite part of the chicken. You're gonna need some chicken broth, carrots, celery, white onion, sea salt, black pepper, garlic powder, chicken bouillon, and thyme. Those are the only ingredients you need, but I promise you, this dish is so flavorful. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we're actually gonna do is peel our carrots, and these carrots are going to be used for the stock that we are creating. So I'm just gonna take off the skin. Whenever I eat carrots, I do not eat them with the skin. Whenever I make my stock or my broth, I don't eat it with, I don't cook it with the skin. Some people do, but that's just not my preference. So I just remove as much of the skin as possible, like I'm doing now. And I'm just placing the skin pieces in a separate bag so that I can get that out the way. So let me work on these carrots. Now that my celery and my carrots are rinsed, I'm just gonna do a rough chop, because you don't have to have small pieces because you're not eating this part. You just want it for the flavor of the broth. So I'm just cutting them roughly. All right, so I have my stove on high. I am going to pour my chicken broth. I'm using the Swanson's. That's my favorite one, but please use whichever one you like. Swanson's just tastes the best to me. But I am pouring my chicken broth in here. There we go. And now I'm going to actually pour some water in here as well. So let me go ahead and grab that. Now I am pouring in the water. I have a cup. It's fairly big. I think it's 18 ounces maybe. But I'm going to pour in 3 cups of that. So I have my water and my chicken broth mixed. I am going to go ahead and throw in my vegetables, which is the carrots, the onions, I'm telling you guys, it makes a lot of flavor. The celery, all right, and this one. So I have that put into the water. I'm gonna let it boil for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna throw in our chicken breast into the water. So I will be back. All right, so now that my water is boiling, I'm going to take my meat, which in my case is chicken breast, and I'm going to throw that in the pot. I have 3 breasts. And the pot may look like it's going to overflow, but it's going to decrease, and then I'll be able to put the top back on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and just boil this for about 45 minutes. I'm gonna take it out, and then we're gonna go ahead and shred the chicken. So I'll be back once we start on that process. All right, so my chicken has been going for about 45 minutes. What I'm going to do is try to find the chicken, which I had 3 chicken breasts. And I'm going to pull it out of the water. All right, so now what I'm going to do is remove all of the vegetables out of this, because this is our broth we're actually going to use for our chicken noodle soup. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and then we're going to switch over so we can go ahead and shred our chicken. Be right back. Yeah. Alright, so I have gotten my chicken out. I am not going to work on shredding it. You can still see a little steam coming from it because literally, y'all, I just pulled it out. So I'm gonna work on shredding it. The easiest way to shred chicken is actually to use a blender, a cake blender, like literally a 2-speed blender. It shreds completely fast. But because we're making chicken noodle soup, you don't want it to be shredded like quesadillas or chicken nachos. You want it to still have a couple of chunks in it because it's soup. You don't want shredded chicken in soup. You don't want that. So I'm gonna work on the chicken chunks, and I will be back and let you guys see the finished product. Alright, so I have all of my chicken pretty much shredded. Now I'm just kind of going through breaking up the pieces without shredding them, just making them a little bit smaller. Like, no one wants something that big in their soup, but I am just making it a little bit smaller so that they're edible into bite-sized pieces. But again, you don't want it to be shredded like pulled pork and stuff. No, because it's soup, and you don't just want a whole bunch of stuff just floating around in the soup. So alright, so the inside of my pot is empty. I am going to take 3 tablespoons of butter, toss that inside my pot, and I'm just gonna move it around. You won't be able to see inside of my pot completely because it is a tall pot, and unfortunately the way the camera is angled, you can't see inside the entire thing. But once I start marinating everything, I'll let you see the inside. Now, there's something I didn't tell you guys to put in the ingredient list, and that is garlic. So it is optional, but we like garlic. I am doing 1 full tablespoon of garlic. That's it. I'm just gonna pop that into my skillet, let that get all fragrant. And I chopped my vegetables for the soup off camera. I'm gonna let you see how I did that. Now, chopping the vegetables is completely up to you on your size and how you chop them. Just, you know, go by what your family likes. You know, we like kind of chunky vegetables, so that's how I chopped mine. So those are the sizes that I did. So I'm just gonna toss in some of my vegetables. I love the taste of cooked celery. Now, raw celery, I'm not really a fan of, but cooked celery is so good to me. So the reason why I'm tossing the vegetables in right now is because I want to soften them a little bit and get them going before I actually put the stock back over it. So I have my onions. I'm going to throw that in there as well. Just making sure all of the vegetables are coated with that butter and the garlic. And the inside of the pot looks like that so far. Looking good. But we're gonna, of course, let this saute for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes has passed, I'm gonna come back on camera and let you see what it looks like before we start adding in our stock and our seasonings. Because remember, guys, we haven't even seasoned anything just yet. So I will be back. All right, so they're pretty much softened to my liking. I'm going to go ahead and pour my chicken broth back into the pot. I strained it so there's no flakes or anything in here. Ooh, this is gonna be so good. So while I'm waiting for that to come to a boil, I am going to take some of my garlic powder. This is where all of the flavor comes from. Now I'm going to take some of the black pepper. Hopefully I do not sneeze on camera. It looks like a lot, y'all, but it's not. We're gonna take a little bit of that thyme seasoning. It's dried thyme, guys. It's not fresh thyme. You can use fresh thyme. Actually, fresh thyme is better, but I don't like it, so I'm using the dried thyme. And you don't need a lot because thyme packs a lot of flavor. And right now I'm going to refrain from using some of the salt, so I'm going to use the chicken bouillon. This is my favorite seasoning outside of the Tony Chachere's. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of that in there, and then we're going to mix it, taste it. Before you add in your noodles and your chicken, you always want to season the broth first, because after you add in everything, you don't want to have to season. You want all of the noodles and the chicken to soak up the flavor. So it's seasoned by taste, guys. You have to keep tasting your broth to see what else it needs, what else you want to add. So this is going to be my first test right here. I'm gonna let that cool off. Right now it tastes pretty good. The only thing I'm about to add a little bit more of is the chicken bouillon. And I don't need any salt because the chicken bouillon has salt. I thought I was gonna need some, but my taste buds are okay with it. So I just add a little bit more of chicken bouillon. Mix that in. I'm gonna see how I like it. And since the broth is already flavored, we don't have to really wait. We're about to add the chicken in a minute. Let's see, let's taste it again. And it's only for me and my family, so I can use the same spoon. Oh yeah, that's really good. So I am done. I'm going to add my chicken in there, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna add the chicken instead of the noodles first. So you want to add your chicken first because you want more chicken than noodles, in my opinion. Every time you go to a restaurant, or maybe like Panera, or you know, any place that sells chicken noodle soup, or even just the Campbell's soup can of chicken noodle soup, it never gives you enough of the protein. I don't understand that, but I add in the amount of chicken I want because I want to be able to see the chicken. I want to be able to taste the chicken. I don't want to have to fish for the chicken. So I add the chicken in first because once you add in your noodles, it's going to soak up some of the broth. So you need to know how much noodles to actually add. So you won't know that until you add your chicken, because your chicken also soaks up some of the broth. That's just my little tip, but do it how you want to. It all goes in one pot. So I have added in my chicken. As you can see, it's getting thicker because I have meat in there, and the chicken is going to soak up the broth just like my noodles. So right now I'd rather add a little bit of noodles than a lot. So I'm going to add in about 3 handfuls of egg noodles. And after those 3 handfuls, I'm going to see how it's looking. And then we'll go from there. But I personally think the 3 handfuls are enough. So we're going to let those get softened. Oh, yes, y'all. Oh, my gosh. I'm gonna let those get softened, and once they are finished cooking, I will be back to show you guys the final product. All right, y'all, the chicken noodle soup is all complete. I removed it from the pot. I put it in a nice little bowl. I've added a little bit of black pepper on top with a little bit of parsley, and y'all, we are ready to eat. So you already know the drill. Go ahead and try this recipe out. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bon appetit.